joining us this morning is political analyst Donnie Fowler. And yesterday, Newt Gingrich said something pretty funny. He said, this whole thing has seemed like an episode of The Apprentice, or the, that reality show where he was choosing people. Right. This time he's choosing someone to be his running mate. Just all right out there on TV.
You're hired, not you're fired.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
It is always a great circus the few weeks before each political party's convention. Who's the VP going to be? The Veep stakes. What really matters when you're choosing a VP, the first and most important priority from a political campaign point is don't make a mistake. The second most important qualification is, can you actually be president? Can you help the president be a better president? And if for some reason he or she leaves, can you step in? So the speculation and the gamesmanship and this Veep stakes is a lot of fun, but really this is a very serious choice, and it's going to say a lot about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
The names on this short list now: New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, also Indiana Governor Mike Pence. Long careers in the public spotlight and public service. They bring pluses, but also baggage, each of them individually.
That's right. If you're Hillary Clinton, you're looking to do one of two things. Help win a battleground state. So you look at a senator from Virginia or a senator from Ohio, Sherrod Brown. Maybe you get a half a point or a point and you put Virginia or Ohio over the top. The second thing she might be looking for is to energize Democrats, especially the Bernie Sanders people, who still feel a little disappointment. So maybe that is an Elizabeth Warren. So for Donald Trump, he's got to solve a problem, and that is he's never been in public service. He's not really prepared to be president. So can he pick someone with gravitas? The other thing Donald Trump has to do, which is kind of weird for Donald Trump, is pick an attack dog. Well, Donald Trump himself is a pretty good attack dog.
Right.
So
someone who backs his word, right?
Who backs his word.
Exactly.
And can go after Hillary Clinton.
The scrappy one.
But it's hard to believe anyone can outdo Donald Trump on that.
Based on what you said, it would be Newt Gingrich or Chris Christie.
Right.
It seems to me, just from watching him, that those two guys, that's what his heart says, but his head might say Mike Pence.
That's right. That's exactly right, Sal. You've nailed the two choices Trump has. Somebody who's very vocal, attack dog. There's really nobody better than Newt Gingrich, except Donald Trump at that. Mike Pence has been a congressman, head of the Foreign Policy Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives, and current governor of Indiana. So he brings some calmness to a campaign that's often seen as a little bit from the edges.
But once you say the running mate really means nothing post-election, because you got to get elected first before that running mate to even become the vice president. I think about Florida, Ohio. You mentioned some other battleground states for Hillary Clinton, but you would want someone who can win those states.
That's right.
And foremost.
Right, but you can also make the mistake. Think Sarah Palin. So for Trump, especially the newcomer to politics, this pick is going to be another statement about his judgment and his qualifications to be president.
So you think they went to
Pence won't help him win a state, but Pence might give Trump some seriousness that he doesn't have.
But when we go and we vote in November,
yes,
and you bring up Sarah Palin, you think there were people voting and go, you know what, I'm not going to vote because Palin's on the ticket.
It made John McCain 8 years ago look a little less serious. Donald Trump needs to look a little more serious. The governor of Indiana, Mike Pence, offers that. On the other hand, Newt Gingrich is more animated. He has more ideas. So he could bring more energy to the Trump campaign than Governor Pence.
He's also good on TV. He's been on all those shows.
Very good on TV.
Debates.
Yeah, he's going to be on all the news channels. And
he's very telegenic, Newt Gingrich is.
Let's switch the topic here to the most recent Quinnipiac poll here that puts Trump essentially even with Clinton in 3 swing states: Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Moral standards, honesty, a high issue here, and essentially evening these two up.
Yes, this is a question. This is an election that's going to be about character and values, less so about issues. The American people are largely divided between Democrats and Republicans. Even those who call themselves independents are going to sort of predictable about whether they're going to vote Democratic or Republican. So we're looking at a close race. About 40% of the American people are going to vote for the Republican. About 40% or more are going to vote for Hillary Clinton. So you've only got a few people in the middle. What happens in Virginia, Ohio, and Florida, the 3 biggest states up for grabs, is really important. This is probably going to be a close election because the American people are closely divided.
How big of an issue are the Hillary Clinton emails in this poll?
There's a narrative about every presidential candidate. We have a narrative about Donald Trump. He's wild, he's unprepared, he shoots from the hip. The narrative about Hillary Clinton is very experienced, but a little untrustworthy. So every story that you add to support that narrative about Hillary Clinton hurts her. It solidifies the narrative. This email, the decision about having a private email server in her house, kind of solidifies the existing narrative. It doesn't change it. She needs to change her narrative.
Donnie, I want to ask you something really quickly about the Republican platform. It seems like it's much more conservative than it was even 4 years ago. What are they doing here? Are they trying to win those hard-liners who may not be, tempted to vote for Trump otherwise?
That's exactly right, Sal. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party have a challenge of turning out their strongest, most fervent conservative and liberal voters. The people for Ted Cruz on the Republican Party, the people for Bernie Sanders on the left for the Democratic Party. So you want to appeal to make sure they vote. If they vote, they're going to vote for Donald Trump. But you have to make sure that with the Republican platform being so very, very conservative, you have to make sure that they want to go vote. Even if it's not for Donald Trump, they're voting for a conservative agenda.
Well, we'll have Trump's announcement live tomorrow morning right here on Mornings on 2, 8 o'clock in the morning, I believe is expected. Donnie Fowler, Donnie.